Good evening, St. Lucia, and welcome to What's Happening Now with, of course, me, Laura Japierre. Last week, I told you that would have been my last show, last Newsmaker Live show, and I honestly underestimated how well received I was into your homes every Wednesday night. And immediately that the show was over, as a matter of fact, the show was not over and the messages kept flooding in. And this is no exaggeration, but I must have gotten at least 200 messages, just messages. That's not the calls, and that's not the people accosting me on the streets and asking me what happened. So I'm really, really grateful for your acceptance of me and making me feel so welcomed in your homes. I walked the streets on Thursday after the show, and my goodness, the number of people who approached me. You know, I even had one lady who, with tears in her eyes, said, "Oh my goodness, you're the only person who talks about rape with such vigor and with such earnest. You know, I'm going to miss you." And you know what's going to happen? What the ladies who don't have a voice, who's going to speak on their behalf now? So it brings me great pleasure to be here with you. You know, because everybody's asking me, what happens now? What happens now? Well, what's happening now is I'm still on television. I'm still being broadcast into your homes, albeit on another day, on Tuesday nights instead of Wednesday nights. And as the weeks progress, there will be a lot of developments, and we will be unfolding them with you, to you, as they, as they come about. So just bear with us, and we're going to have what's happening now, for a little bit, and see where that goes. So thank you so much for the vote of confidence. Thank you for the accolades. Those of you who know me personally would know that compliments, I just don't know what to do with them. I say thank you and I blush a lot because, I do something that just comes naturally to me. I've always been the kind of person who speaks out for those of us who don't have a voice. When I was a child, happened to be extremely shy, except when somebody was being abused, or except when somebody else's rights were being infringed upon. And then you would see this mama bear in me come out, and people just didn't understand where it came from. And now I'm more at ease with it. I guess with time brings wisdom, and you're able to harness that innate sense of righteousness. And I'm not saying that I'm a saint, I'm not saying that I'm an angel, but where it comes to speaking out, I think it's my God-given talent. They always say, do something that you love, and then it ceases to be work. Well, this is it for me, and I'm so very grateful that you've received me, that you've accepted me, and that I am making a dent or an impact in your lives. But all of it wasn't good, as with human beings, there'll always be the naysayers. And so I came across this young man, and he said to me, "I'm happy you're off the air." And I said, "Really? That's not a very nice thing to say." And he said, "Yes, because finally you will stop about this rape thing." And I took a step back, and I was aghast, and I was shocked. And I said, "Really? What rape thing?" He says, "You only ever want to talk about rape. You only want to talk about, things against women, things that are happening against women, and you're feminist." I said, "Well," and I came as close to him as his fetid breath would allow me, because at this point my hackles were up and I was TO'd. I was not impressed at all, to say the least, and that's putting it mildly. So I came as close to him as his fetid breath would allow me, and I said, "You know what? That's Miss Feminist to you. Okay, that's Miss Feminist to you." And this is coming at a time when studios are asking their reporters not to report on the rape issue, and to be very careful how they report rape. And that's very concerning to me, because I am a female. I am at risk just by being a female of some predator coming up to me and trying to take away control from me. I have nieces, I have a mother, I have aunts, I have, well, thank God my grandmothers are dead, because we know that those predators, they're not discriminating when it comes to age. It's like they're just acting with impunity. And so for me, I was very disgusted with what this guy had to say. And so here's where it's at for me. You know, this is what's happening now in our country. Not only is the media under attack, not only are studios censoring what the reporters report and how they report it, we have people out there buying into that rhetoric because they think it makes the government look bad, or because they think it makes the police force look inept. Well, here's what's happening now. Rape is not endemic to St. Lucia. It's not. However, what is different is how we treat rape. It's the rape culture. It's how we prosecute those predators, those beasts, those miscreants once they're caught. Let me just highlight to you a few things. In the UK, a former US Coast Guard has been sentenced up to 200 years for filming himself as he raped an 80-month-old girl in a motel before urinating on her. Yes, rape happens in other countries. It happens in first world countries. It happens in those countries who are watchdogs. But here's the difference. Those cases are prosecuted. They're detected, they're prosecuted, and the arm of the law is swift, and it doesn't play any jokes. It is swift, it is harsh, it is brutal, just as brutal as these beasts are when they commit those crimes. But this is not the only one. This is not the only one. A man who was prosecuted for filming himself raping his 6-year-old stepdaughter was given 25 years. We're not talking about 2 years or 5 years. We're not talking about 5 months. We're talking about years. We're talking about decades. We're talking about lifetimes. And that's what's happening. That's what's up in the world around us. While we try to protect those rapists, while we try to protect people whom we say, if we talk about what they've done, it will destroy their homes, it will destroy their lives. What about the little ones? What about the ones whose lives are over? What about the families? What about the communities? What about St. Lucia? And, you know, it's unfortunate that I don't have the pictures up for you to see, but these sickos, they look just like you and I. They look just like me, they look just like you, they look just like our neighbor, they look just like our brother. The only difference is out there, between out there and in here, is that we protect them. Out there, they're thrown to the wolves. Now, here's another thing that's up, St. Lucia. It's what is happening right now. The U.S. Department of State Human Rights has highlighted a number of human rights violations in St. Lucia. And the most startling thing for them is the long delays in investigating reports of unlawful police killings. Does that ring a bell? Impacts? You know, it's been a while now since our Prime Minister has told us that the impacts report is completed and that it has been handed over to the DPP's office. And nothing. We've blamed the past DPP for not prosecuting, for not doing anything, while she has told us time and time again, all she had was a report. There was no evidence in there. You know, it was just hearsay. We've promised our watchdogs, we've promised our benefactors that we would do something about it, that we will install a new DPP within quick time. Do you know who our new DPP is? Do you know? I don't know. And there's a reason for that. There isn't one. So we make all these promises, you know, we have all these platitudes. But when it comes to action, we're bereft. Absolutely bereft. It's amazing. You know, we incur costs, we incur all of these costs, expenses. We hire all of these expensive lobbyists, and we call them lawyers, to plead our case. But really and truly what they're doing is to lobby the US government when they've already told us they're not giving us any money. They're not going to give us any money. So why are we hiring those expensive lobbyists in a country in a time when we're bankrupt, pretty much? We keep hearing that all the time. Tighten your belts. The country is bankrupt. But we're hiring all of these lawyers to go out there to lobby the US government to release funds to us when we know the answer is going to be no. Smokescreen. Smokescreen. We just say things, not thinking of what's going to happen after, what's coming after. And that's what's happening now. But more than that, I want to share with you a letter. Earlier this year, I think it was in January, when I first came back on the air after the season, I read portions of a letter that I received from a concerned citizen where there was a 14-year-old girl and a 15-year-old boy who had lost their mother the previous year and was sent to live with their father. The father allegedly is a well-known police officer, and I say alleged because there's some investigation going on and I can't really give all the details, but this is what the letter alleges: that these children were sent to live with their father, and that the father had been abusing the daughter, and that the boy Jason, and that's just a name, you know, in lieu of his real name, was sent to live with another family member, and the girl was sent to live with her sister, and she had conceived by her father. Well, I got another letter 2 months later, and this person is saying that having watched a program on Dr. Phil, it really struck her how she cannot let this rest, knowing what she knows. And this is what the letter says. Read Jennifer La Paz on Dr. Phil on Monday. Speaking of a girl who was hearing voices in her head, and the program was about seeking help for a daughter who is a violent child. She's 12 years old. She wants to commit suicide. She's found killing small animals, and one time late at night she was found choking her sister. And this all struck a chord with this writer, saying that this girl that she previously wrote to me about is exhibiting similar tendencies, and she's afraid that somebody's going to die. It's either going to be a suicide or a homicide. And as I said, we are working, a core group of us are working on this. I have contacted the gender relations and the human services, and we are working on this. But unfortunately, I cannot give this lady any concrete information or any reassurances that we're working on it, because I do not know how to get in touch with her. And so I'm bringing this out tonight with the hopes that she's listening, and that she can hear my voice, she can see me, and she can be rest assured that this is being worked on, that it is being worked on, and that we will do every and anything in our power to ensure that this young child is taken care of, both her and her brother. I received the second letter last week, and by this week I had received yet another letter from her. This one was not addressed to me. This one was addressed to the Prime Minister. And I'm just going to share what the letter says. And I'm just assuming that she sent it to me, although it's addressed to the Prime Minister, because she wants it out there. She wants her voice heard. You can't blame her if she's hiding behind a letter. A lot of us are feeling threatened these days. The press is being censored. There's only so much you can say, but here goes. Dear Sir, Prime Minister, I am telling you that these crimes of rape should be dealt with swiftly and seriously and as fast as you can, sir. As is being done in big countries, don't you think that it is high time to advertise on television, national newspapers, and all posters everywhere, sir? That is the only way that I, an old woman, is telling you. Old ladies over the age of 70 plus years are being raped by boys. Oh no, this is demonic. Yes, I say demonic. You ought to advertise on television the faces of those rapists, so all will know who he is, who they are, his surroundings, his neighbors would know them, or who they are, or who he is. I will never, and I don't know if I should say that, but it goes on to say that she's not going to support your party unless this action is taken. Enough is enough. Thank you, concerned. And that really touches me, and it places a great responsibility on me. And I remember a couple of weeks ago, I was interviewing Honorable Emma Hippolyte, and at the end of the show, she says to me, I have a great responsibility. I have a great responsibility on how I present my thoughts, my opinions. Well, I take this responsibility very seriously. Whether it's my thoughts and opinions, or whether it's just my voice being lent to the voiceless. I take this responsibility very seriously when old women, our senior citizens, our pillars of our society, the fabric that make up our communities, feel threatened not only for themselves, but for our future generation as well. And that's what's happening now. So when people tell me I should shut up, my voice gets even more strident, and I am more emboldened to come out and to speak out against the ills affecting our society. That's what's happening now. We're due for a break. When we come back, all that jazz and more. Stay tuned.